Okay, folks, we are going to have a go at drawing assignment 1.4, which is template number 1. This is I love this assignment. I've literally been doing this assignment since about 1986. I first did this drawing myself in my CAD class at the University of Florida, and it's a very good drawing. It will be challenging, and it will really put into use all the commands that you've been exposed to at this point, which includes trim, extend, offset, some basic object snap stuff, and different line creation methods. I'm also going to introduce the mirror command, but it is that'll come later. So we're going to focus on just the first part of it. But like I said, this is a super good drawing. It's going to be challenging for you, so don't expect to just kind of walk through this. I'll show you how you're going to get started on this and how you're going to finish this. And again, I want to reiterate, we're not using any new commands. We're just going to focus on the ones. This is kind of like a culmination in our practice up to this point. Trim, extend, offset. Those are the main things, and also line creation methods. So here's our drawing. I'm just so you know what my strategy is going to be, and so that you can adopt. I'm going to start in the upper left-hand corner up here in this corner. Why am I going to start there? Well, point of fact, I could start anywhere, right? But the dimensions will often present a path of least resistance, let's say, a way that you should proceed so that you have less difficulty, so that there's less calculations that you need to do. So we're going to use the dimensions to point us in the direction of completion of this. And this is something that I encourage you as you go through this class and elsewhere to use as a guidepost. It's a efficient way to draw, but it also has knock-on effects, such as it helps to identify when dimensions are bad or in error or missing. So that being said, like I said, I'm going to start in the top left-hand corner up here, and you'll see from there. Okay. So first of all, let's get things set up a little bit. I want to make sure I have object snap on, and I do, and I can turn on the object snap settings, and this is good. Really, I only need endpoint and intersection, I think. There's no circles, so I don't need center, but I'm not going to turn these off. We can leave these on. By the way, if you're wondering, well, why don't you just turn on all of them? Well, when you turn on all of them, that is really a recipe for disaster, because what happens is you literally can't draw, because object snaps are showing up all over the place when you're dimensioning, or not when you're dimensioning, when you're drawing, and it makes it really impossible to draw. So you don't want to turn them all on. You can turn them on in the middle of commands. So if you have one off, an object snap off that you need to turn on, then you can certainly turn it on. And there's other things that we'll go through in later videos and in later assignments, such as running object snaps, where we can turn them off on and off on the fly. But anyway, this is fine. Endpoint, intersection are, I think, the only ones I'm going to need. I got my dynamic input on, which is good, and my polar tracking. I'm going to set my I turned it off. I'm going to set my polar tracking, or leave it on, at 30, 60, 90. Okay. That looks pretty good. I know there's a 45-degree angle in there, but we'll go like that. Let me turn it back on. Okay. All right. So let's get started. So I started my drawing with the ACAD template or no template Imperial. Either way, it doesn't matter. They're both kind of the same thing. Okay. So we'll go to the line command, and like I said, I'm going to just kind of get started right up there, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see what's going on. And I'm going to draw down 0.9. So remember, with direct distance entry, we can just point our cursor downward and type in 0.9. My hands, if you could see them, my hands are not touching or holding the mouse. So 0.9 and hit enter. And then I move over like this, right? And I'm going to type in 0.3 and draw it to the east. Okay, and then we come down here, and this is a 60-degree angle, so object snaps will help me get that angle in there. But this is a crucial point. This is kind of like the first roadblock that we're going to get to. I don't know the length of this line. Actually, let me bring this drawing over here so you can see. So here's where we are. I don't know the length of that line right there. So what am I going to do? Do I have to stop? No, I don't. Watch. So with the trim command, we know that we can draw longer than we need. So I'm just going to draw longer, and I'm actually not even going to type in the distance. I'm just going to stretch it out, 1.1656, whatever. And as long as I know it's long enough, then I'm going to draw that at 60 degrees. So I got the angle correct. The length is indeterminate. And then I'm done here. I can't do anything further at this point. The endpoint that I'm at now is totally useless. So I'm just going to hit the enter key and get out of that. Now I want to basically come down and restart the line series down here. So what I'm doing, let me zoom in just a little bit here. I'll zoom into 100%. So I'm right here. What I'm going to do is I want to rejoin this line right here. Okay, so this provides an opportunity to do this neat little trick. Okay, so I'm going to go to the line command, right? And I want to draw a line starting at 2 inches or 2 units below this point right here. Now, how am I going to do that? Well, one way that I could do this would be to draw a line here, go down 2, and then come over here, right? With the idea that I would erase that line, this line that I just drew. Well, we don't want to do that. Come on, people. That's not what we want to do. We don't want to draw extra lines that we then have to go back and erase if we can help it. So that's not the way to do it. All right, don't do that. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the line command. We're going to hover over this point. Now, when I say hover, what does that mean? That means that we're going to position our cursor over that point so that we have the endpoint object snap on, right? So AutoCAD is acquiring that geometry. AutoCAD is reading that point and saying, okay, I have the X, Y, Z coordinates for that point. And then we're going to track down, all right? So I haven't clicked on the mouse yet. All I've done is move the mouse up to this corner, and then I've moved the mouse down, whoops, and you kind of have to move it down in a straight line. And you see extension, that's the object snap that we're using right now. And what that's going to allow us to do is to start a line at precisely the right point relative to some acquired geometry. So what am I going to do? I'm going to type in 2 for the distance of 2, and look where it goes. It starts my line 2 units below where I acquired that endpoint. And now I can type in 0.3, and I can come up here and I can set this at 60 degrees, and I can click and just, enter a line of some indeterminate length longer than I need. Boom. And then we're done. All right. So that's a super efficient way to draw, right? Because now we're using our existing geometry to get us started on new geometry without having to draw some blasted line down like this and then go back and erase it. Okay. All right, so now let's rejoin. We have to get the back surface over here. So, hey, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing because, look, I got this distance right there. This distance, 0.8, from this edge over here. So what could I do here? Now, there's a couple of things that we could do, and I'm going to show you both of them, and I'll let you choose which way you go. They both use commands that we have already been exposed to. So one is just to use the offset command. Offset. 0.8 take this line and offset it right there. All right. Now, point of fact, we could absolutely use offset to get this line down 2 units down here. Okay. So, and that's perfectly acceptable. I just wanted to show you the object snap tracking, right? Which we'll talk about in a separate video, but that was kind of your first look at object snap tracking. So you could use the offset command, just like I used here to offset. But now what do we have to do? Well, we have to extend this line down through here. So I'm going to use the extend command, and I'm going to pick this as my boundary edge. I'm going to hit the enter key, and I'm going to extend this line down there. All right, so now you see the geometry that we have. We have everything that we need. We just got to get rid of the stuff we don't need. So we go back to the trim command, and I'm just going to pick everything on the screen, hit enter, and I'm going to get rid of that and that and that and that and that. There we go. All right. So we have the left side of the figure almost done. Let's zoom out and let's rejoin. So now we want to rejoin. We want to grab hold of this end. So of course we want to use object snap. Please, 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 you got to use object snap. We want to draw down some distance. Okay. Draw down some distance. How far do we want to go? Can't really tell. Yeah, we don't really know here how far we have to go. Now, yeah, we could use some math. We could do some math to figure that out. Let me bring this across. So here we are right here. We want to draw down to here. We don't have that distance. We know it's 0.9 and 2 down to here. We know it's 4.6 down to here. But we don't know what this gap is. But hey, look, we got this 5.5. So, you know, and again, I want to use the geometry as much as I can. And the dimensions, I should say. I want to use the dimensions as much as I can. So watch what I'm going to do here. All right. So I'm going to draw a line across here, and I'm going to draw it 4 units. Then I'm going to come down, and I'm going to draw this line 5.5. And now I'm going to come down, and I want to draw this 4 units, and I want to come back up here and finish that. Okay, so what did I just do? I just basically went around this way, over 4, down 5.5, and back over 4, and then come up here. Now, why did I do that? Because this is going to give me an opportunity to draw some of this detail and then use the trim command to get that. So I hope that I'm giving you an opportunity to understand that the typical way that you draw, you don't just walk the line command around the object, tracing it out. We're not tracing, okay? The dimensions don't even present us with the opportunity to trace, really, okay? So, so that's not really an option. So drafting means that we have to lay out some lines, and we have to trim and extend them as necessary. Okay, so let's finish this up right here. So I'm going to come down. I want to figure out where this is. So look, I'm going to go to offset. This is where offset is super useful. We can offset 4.6. So I offset that line. I probably did that too fast. Let me do that slower. Offset 4.6, top line down. Okay. And now I want to draw a line 15 degrees. So I can go to line. I can grab this endpoint and I can draw a line at 15 degrees. Now I don't have 15 degrees on for polar tracking, but that's no big deal. And again, we don't know the length of this line. So I want to disavow your feeling that you need the lengths of lines. As long as you either have the length or the angle, you're going to be fine. Okay. So I want to draw, I don't know what distance. So let's type 4. 4 is long enough, and type in 15. Right. So now I have this line right here. All right. and I'm going to offset again, and I'm going to offset 1.4. While you're watching this, I strongly encourage, if you don't already have it up, bring up the drawing so that you can watch me with the drawing in mind. So offset distance, I'm going to offset this line over there. And maybe now you start to see, emerging kind of the general shape that we're going to have. Let me trim this out so that we can see. I'm going to pick everything on the screen. And I can erase these lines. And all right, so now hopefully it's recognizable. Let's finish up this little angular notch here, this V-shaped notch right there. So I'm going to go back to offset, and we're going to type in 0.3, and we're going to offset this line to the left. Okay, and that's going to give us this point, and we're going to go to the line command, and we're going to draw a line. And what angle are we going to draw? Okay, so now here's where you got to go back to middle school and kind of practice your geometry. All right, so let me bring this over here. All right, let me zoom in a little bit further. We'll go 125. All right, so you see right here 105 degrees. That's the line that we're drawing, that angle right there. All right, and it's measured at 105 degrees, but it's measured from due west. Okay, it's measured from due west. AutoCAD doesn't measure from due west. AutoCAD measures from due east. So how are we going to figure out the angle measured from due east when we're given the angle measured from due west? Well, we know that the total angle from east to west is 180 degrees. So if we go 180 degrees and come back 105, that leaves us with 75 degrees here. So we actually, if you're going to do the extra credit practice drawings, dynamite and the shear plate, you're going to get a load of that kind of calculation. Okay, so we want to draw a line at 75 degrees. So again, we don't know the length, so we're going to go some distance. 2 is fine. Evidently 2 tab 75, and then we end the command. And now we can trim out this stuff, trim, and you'll see the shape emerge. And we'll erase that line. So let's look at what we have. Look at that. All right. Now, we gotta attend to the top. So let's zoom in here real quick. So how are we going to get the top? Well, the top is really a perfect opportunity to really use offset. Okay. So notice we're not given the length or the distance from the left edge over to this starting point. Instead, we're given the distance 1 from the center. And lo and behold, we have the center line. So again, use the dimensions that are given to you. Don't do calculations. It's a way that you're going to introduce unnecessary error into your drawings. And yeah, I know you're thinking, oh, I can subtract 4 minus 2 minus 1. Yes, right. But in a situation where it's not so straightforward, where there's decimals and where there's tolerances, it's not easy. Okay. And it also potentially hides dimensioning errors. All right. So that being said, I'll get off my soapbox. Let's go to offset. And we're going to offset, the offset distance here is going to be 1. And I'm going to offset this line over here. And I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to go back to offset, and I'm going to hit offset 2, and we're going to go like that. Okay. And then, now this is a little bit confusing for everybody, and I understand that. Let me expand this a little bit so you can see. The confusion is this 110 is the distance from the top edge to the top of the star, not to the bottom of this square notch. To the bottom of the square notch is 1.2. Okay, so just be aware of that. A lot of people make that mistake. So we'll go back to offset, and we'll go 1.2, and we'll offset this line down. All right. Now, Now I'm going to go and I'm going to change my polar tracking to 4590. Nah, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that, right? Because we know we can type in the angles. So we're going to go a distance longer than we need to tab 45, right? And we're going to do the same thing up here. We're going to go to tab. Now this is not 45. Notice that we're going to be the 45 beyond beyond 90, right? This is 90, and we're going 45 past that, which is 135. This is a good time to get out that pad of paper, or to use my, let me pull that up here because I did this for you, right? I made your quick reference card. Right? So that, remember your quick reference card. And right there, I put, on purpose, for you, I put the angles, right? Measured in 45 degrees. Right? So that can help you remember that. You'll get it after, after a little bit. All right, so now let's get this notch taken care of. The width on the notch is 0.2, but I do need a center line. So I'm going to draw a line from here, from that intersection straight down. And I'm going to offset 0.2. I'm going to offset this line to the left and to the right. And then I'm going to go back up to extend. And I'm just going to take everything on the screen. I'm going to extend that up there and extend that up there. And now we can go back to trim, pick everything on the screen, and we start to trim out all the stuff we don't need. Remember that some of the stuff you're just going to erase. So there we go. And now I'll go to the erase command and I'll pick this. And there we go. All right. So look at that. We have the left side done. The only thing we're missing here is obviously the right side and the star. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to draw the star in a separate video because I want you to have a go at drawing the star yourself. Now I will say this as in terms of hints. Let's bring the star back around. Do not do like I did in 1986. What I did in 1986, because I thought that I was smart, is I tried to figure out all the angles inside these lines and outside these lines. And let me tell you, that is not the right way to do it. Not even remotely. That is way, way, way more work than you need to do. So how do you draw this? Well, without giving too much away, and like I said, I'm going to make a separate video that you can watch if you just, give up or you want some more hints. You would draw this like you would draw it by hand. That is to say, I would start at the top and I would draw a line straight down. I would draw over to the right. I would draw straight across to the left, and I would draw back down to the right, and then I'd rejoin it like that. All right. So you can draw like that. All right. These points right here, the 0.9, the 1.5, the 0.8, the 1.25, will give you targets, intersections that you can draw to if you use offset to lay out the marks. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. If you need more, then you're just going to have to watch the second video. But let's do the mirror. Okay. So we have the left side complete. Everything looks good. We want to do the right side. Now, of course, yeah, you could draw the right side again. And I'm not going to tell you not to draw the right side. You might say, hey, you know what? I want to practice more, so I'm just going to draw the right side too. And you would use exactly the same method. Okay. But we're going to use this opportunity to introduce the mirror command. Okay. So the mirror command is right here in the middle of the modify panel. right? And we're going to select mirror. And it's going to say select objects. Remember when I said in an earlier video that select objects is used in a number of different commands? Well, this is the second command that we're gonna look at that uses select objects. So how do we select objects? Well, we can use any one of the methods, right? We can pick all the objects. We can use a fence. We can use a crossing polygon. We can type in all. I'm just going to use a window, an implied window, and select them all like that. Okay, so we've selected all the objects that we want to mirror. We're done now with selecting objects. So we want to move to the next stage of this command. To do that, we're going to hit the Enter key of the spacebar. And now it says first point of mirror line. The mirror line is the line around which you're going to reflect the object. So really, the mirror line, by the way, the mirror line does not have to physically be a line. It doesn't actually have to be a line. Any 2 points in space will give us a line, right? So I could pick this point here and this point right here, and you see what's happening is it's starting to reflect around that point. Is there an actual line there? No. I'm just going to specify 2 points. Well, in fact, that's not what I want. So I'm going to go back to mirror. And let's select these objects again. All right. Now I'm going to hit Enter. And the mirror line is this line right here. So look, I'm going to grab the endpoint with object snap because, yeah, we want to use object snap. Otherwise, it's not drafting, it's sketching. Right? And it's inaccurate. So I'm going to pick this point, and then, AutoCAD's going to try to help me. No, do I want that? No, I don't want that. Oh, this is getting better. Warmer, warmer, warmer. Boom. Hey, look at that. And so the second point of my mirror line is going to be down here. So I'm going to click that second point. And AutoCAD's going to come back, and it says erase source object, yes or no. Does that mean... That means, do I want to flip it and get rid of the original left side? Or do I want to flip it and keep both sides? And of course, I want to keep both sides, so I'm going to say no. And then there we go. All right? Now, we can get rid of this. Actually, I'm going to leave that because we're going to use that in the next video. All right. So there we go. So for those of you brave souls that are going to try to draw the star yourself, there you go. You're off. Get to it. For everyone else that are going to draw the star after receiving my hints, I'll see you in the next video.